I'm Hokey Joker.
Bad Drew.
Green Lantern.
And welcome to Just Us Bros Podcast. Hey bros, welcome back to Just Us Bros Podcast. And recently, Michael C. Hall has reprised his role, voiced at least, in Dexter Original Sin. As always, I'm Hokey Joker.
I'm Dokes, motherfucker.
I am Green Lantern.
And so on Amazon, I watch on Amazon, but it's Paramount. Dexter Original Sin has come back out with Michael C. Hall as the producer. I know when I saw previews for this, I wasn't as excited, but 10 episodes later, I really liked it. So to start off, one of you guys want to take it away with what's your thoughts on, well, let's just say, do we need this show?
Yo, you go first. What are your thoughts?
They killed it.
Uh, I don't think they needed it, but I enjoyed it because it does go back and sort of retcon some things for me. Um, I'll just start off like I didn't see the twist at the end until like it actually happened. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But um, I think one of the biggest differences for me, which I liked either one, was in Dexter Original Recipe. He was like, I need to kill. I need to do it. And this is my outlet. And I have to do it. And this one, he was like, I want to kill for justice, bro. Deborah, I want to kill for justice. Like it felt like that to me. I am exaggerating a little bit, but the need to kill was not with Dexter as strong as it was in season one.
I kind of thought that it was more not teenage angst, but I felt like his was more ramped up to where he had to get it done and wanted to do it. I mean, that's my opinion though. But also for me, just overall for the whole, I guess this whole season or this whole prequel, I I was entertained by it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna bash the show, but to me, I really don't think I needed this. Like, no one's going out saying they need to see these movies or these shows, but for this one, I really feel like I would have been fine without it. Is what I'll say. I didn't hate it, but I just would have been fine without needing to see the backstory of something that I already enjoyed. I didn't need to go further back.
I enjoyed it. I didn't even know it was coming out until Dexter when I was at your place back in December, I think.
Yeah.
And you said something about the new series. I'm like, what new series? And then looked it up and was like, oh, the first couple episodes are out already.
Yeah.
For me, it was more nostalgic than anything. Like going back to it, they played like the same music that played in the original Dexter, like the same, like he's getting ready to kill when that one song starts playing. Like that's about to go down. Um, like just something about it, just the nostalgia for me was there to where I was excited each week for a new episode to come out, just because I feel like yes, it's a prequel. Was it really needed? Probably not, but I enjoyed it. I think the casting was really spot on for everybody.
I agree with one exception.
Deb,
I
she
was
got
gonna say she
shorter.
was the
One,
best casted.
yeah.
No, I liked Deb. I think everybody had good casting, especially Harry. Harry was the best one.
You only say that because you knew that's the one I hated.
Did you hate his casting or hate his story and how he was portrayed? And
I hate Christian Slater.
oh, you just hate Christian Slater.
I hate his
Well,
face.
if he was played by Will Ferrell, would you have liked him more? Oh,
Yes.
Probably not. No, but he's just always like, yeah, Dex, happy birthday, man. You know, your happy birthday. Like, why are you squinting? Open your damn eyes.
you look like
I never
Charlie
saw him
Sheen when you
squint.
did that. By the way,
Like, he's always just so inquisitive. Like, how's your day at school, bud? Like, don't squint. Like, just be
I
happy.
never saw him squint.
I'm just saying the inquisitiveness. Like, I just didn't like that. Like, I missed the wide-eyed Harry where he's like, Dexter, don't do that. That's not the right way to do it. Look at Drew's face. He's
I'm pondering stuff, but no one can replace James Remar as Harry. But Christian did okay, I would say.
their relationship was what I would have expected it to be. Can I say the one thing that I think we didn't need to be expanded was Harry's undercover time with Dexter's mom? I felt like that
Yeah.
was filler because we all knew what happened. We all knew where it was going to lead. Like, if anything, that was like a soft, not really a reboot, but like an expansion thrown in there just for people that didn't watch the original series, that they would know what was going on.
Yeah,
And to me, that was not needed.
it was a soft retcon, but just like Spider-Man movies and Batman movies, we don't need to see the Waynes die. We don't need to see Uncle Ben die. Um, I, I'm assuming that was the same actress who played the mom, which good on them for bringing it back. Um,
It was the same actress.
yeah, but
That's why she looks so familiar.
we didn't need all that backstory again. Like we didn't need to deepen that at all. I mean, but other than casting, I thought everybody was great with the exception of Harry. Dude, whoever the guy who plays Batista, oh my god, they struck gold with that.
All they did was shrink Batista and DH him. There's no way they cast somebody else to look like him that much.
But that guy, look up the actor. I apologize, I don't know the actor's name. Look him up, not in the Dexter role. He looks nothing like Batista. But they gave him the perfect haircut, like beard trim, and put the little hat on him, and he looked exactly like him.
Mm, I'm gonna
So
have to look this up.
with a clean shaven face, I'll look
Oh
exactly
my
like
god,
Bruce
I'll
Wayne.
as a casting decision maker, I would have never gone with this guy for Batista. But whoever did that had much more insight than I did.
if they come out with the second season of this, I really want to see who they cast as Dokes. Oh, congrats on getting cast as Dokes, Bat Drew.
They did
Don't
they
don't spoil that for people. They didn't know that I was casted as him.
they did leave it open, and there are talks of another season of this.
Yeah, but how many seasons can you make until season one?
Well,
But
how long was Dexter in Miami Homicide before this? Because he was
how,
right now he's probably what, 20,
is it 10 years?
21, 22.
And it's the mid '90s, so I would say 10 years is a good time frame. But you're also going to tell me that Brian waited 10 years longer to go after Dexter this go around? That's a question you got to answer. Or
Well,
because
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
Brian's not a mess, he's got to get a different plan.
yeah, I mean, either way you look at it, if this was the first and only season of Original Sin, Brian still is waiting until technically season one of the actual Dexter. So it is that time frame between the his connection to him.
I really liked the guy who played Dexter. I thought he did a great job. I wasn't sure of it at first, but I liked it. The set my second choice to play him in the past is Michael C. Hall wearing the crappy wig that he did in flashbacks in the original Dexter.
that's the same as Stephen Amell with when he played
Long hair Oliver on
younger
the
Oliver
island.
Queen, and he just had like the douchebag hair, and it's like
Yeah, and speaking of which, it's sort of that same. The question I asked earlier is like, how many seasons can they do? It's just like because remember in Arrow, it's like each year correlated to a year on the island. So like, how many stories can you come up with in that 5 years or in that Arrow situation? How many stories can you come up with in the Dexter situation? How like when does Harry die in correspondence to season one? So that would be a storyline down there. Um,
I don't know if they ever established like when he died. There
but
there might be a tombstone or something in one of the episodes that shows a hard date, but I
yeah,
don't
But they'll
I don't
they'll
recall right
retcon
off.
that anyway. If they want to
Yeah.
make more seasons of Original Sin, they will retcon that.
so one question me and GL have talked about off podcast is Batger, since you watched this before we did, where in season one did Dexter dump the bodies?
Where in season one, like the actual Dexter,
Yeah, Dexter
or
original recipe, not original sin.
it was in Bay Harbor.
Okay, so but it was I thought he did it in the swamp for the first season.
Mm-mm.
I do not remember that at all. I don't know where Mandela universe you came from, but when he
Okay,
I
went to
think
the
he
swamp, when he went to the swamp in this season, I was kind of like, well, why the fuck wasn't he doing this from the beginning? But then I
yeah.
realized, oh, I guess that's why, because they're not always going to eat all of the evidence.
So then when he was dropping people off in this series, was he doing it in the bay or was he doing it in the Gulf Stream like he does in season two? Because if he's dropping them off out that far, then they sort of retcon that for season one, which GL brought up a good point about that the other day.
So we're talking about
I don't think they
original
retconned it.
recipe, right? Original recipe, season one, he was dropping in Bay Harbor
Yeah.
because when we get to season two, he discovers, oh, the Bay Harbor butcher. Crap, they're gonna figure this out. I have to drop these somewhere that's not obviously, so obvious. So that's when I think he went to the Gulf after that.
Yeah. And the question that GL raised the other day is spoiler, if you don't mind, Drew, you said you don't mind. Um,
Bring it on, bitch.
he kills the
But you don't know what's going to happen.
yeah, he kills the guy who kidnapped his son and then
Captain.
pushes him overboard. Yeah, but then GL brought up, he's like, okay, well, if he dumped him in the bay, wouldn't they find him in season two of Dexter and say, hey, this is our former police captain, like red, like, and have the
Good. Yeah. This is the police captain that kidnapped his son 10 years ago and disappeared. Now we found that the Bay Harbor butcher got him.
and also,
Immediately, or almost immediately connecting Dexter to the Bay Harbor butcher.
yeah, and that would exclude Dokes because Dokes wasn't there in
Dokes
Dexter's
didn't work there.
Original Sin. Ooh, we just brought up a plot point. Answer that, Mike.
And and he was chopping up the body parts, putting them in a bag, and he did have stones that he was putting in the bag to weigh the bag down,
Mhm.
lessening the chance that any Gulf Stream was going to pull it away. It's going to sink to the bottom where he dropped the bodies.
So that was one of the big questions, which I think is probably the most burning question of all that. Not just any like soft retcon, but I think that's a huge a huge one that needs to be answered. And I will say, comparing this to Dexter New Blood, I like this so much more than Dexter New Blood.
I can agree, but also for Dexter New Blood, I think was there only like 6 episodes of that, or was there 8?
I think it was full 10-ish.
Yeah, because they're gonna have a second season of that. That's coming out later this year, I think.
Comes out in June. Again, I liked New Blood when it came out just because it was a new series. It was a sequel, direct sequel. I liked it. I liked that it was different. I liked that it wasn't Miami. I liked that they had a whole new cast of characters that we had to learn, but we also knew the one character that mattered, which was Dexter.
Yeah, and I will say, opposite of you, I liked Dexter. I didn't like it as much because like the setting was different. I like the Miami feel, and when you take it to the cold, harsh white wilderness, I just it sort of lost a little bit of glamour for
Wow.
me. What?
Hang on. We got this recorded. A tech fan said that he loves Miami. Isn't that weird?
I love the Miami setting.
Yeah, them setting records is what he means by that. Fans of the original are gonna like Original Sin more because of the nostalgia vibe that we all definitely did get. Even the small cameos, I was like, hey, I know that guy. I remember that guy. Oh yeah, that all that stuff.
Uh,
Like Jimmy Smits's character being in that one scene, and LaGuerta was hooking up with him.
what I
Like
think
he's gonna be the future DA one day. Like that guy? No.
And also, I think another plot point you raised to me, GL, is like when they get the file for Brian Moser, you're like, oh yeah, LaGuerta just gives up on that.
Like she senses
Oh,
something's different. Yeah. Like, wouldn't she recognize that name 10 years later? Like, oh yeah, this is the guy that Harry was obsessed with.
I
even
mean,
though,
honestly, maybe she did forget about it, but also I guess Camilla was I somehow she was helping Harry cover that up, right?
yeah.
It
Oh, Camille,
sounded it
Like
sounded like
time.
Camilla and Bobby both were in on it. 'Cause
Who was
Bobby knew in the hospital scene,
because he said
Harry
save
told
Dexter,
Bobby, yeah, and he's like, save Dexter. So he knew the whole situation.
but Scotty didn't know,
Scotty didn't know.
God, he didn't
and
know.
he doesn't know.
Oh man, what do we think of though Masuka with hair?
I
Wait, that's not Seth Rogen.
I
It
think that
was,
was another really good casting.
yeah, it was different. I mean, each character or each actor played their character. They did their research. They knew how to play their character. So like Dexter there said, I was reluctant going in. I was like, this is not Michael C. Hall. How the hell is he going to do this? And then after like two episodes, I was kind of like, oh, he's playing the character that he's doing as Dexter. So
What's gonna happen with Sarah Michelle Gellar's character? 'Cause she was just like there. Like I was like, oh, she's gonna have a big part. Not really.
well,
Yeah,
she was
she was
also
kind of just
listed
there.
as a yeah as a special guest star in each episode that she was in. So she wasn't actually really part of the cast.
I mean, but when you have a special guest star, you want them to be important. I mean, Law and Order
Well,
SV does that all the time.
maybe if there is going to be a season two of Original Sin, she guides Deb more into the police force because I mean there were hints dropped there that planted that seed to maybe I should go into law enforcement for Deb. So maybe if they do another season, she's gonna be more of the reason why Deb joins up.
I think to me, I actually asked GL this the other day. I was like, "Oh, when's the next episode of Dexter?" And you're like, "That's it." I'm like, it just felt like the ending of season one wasn't as strong as the opening. It just felt like it was ending an episode, not necessarily ending the season slash series, because it opens up with him in the like back of the cop car and Dexter New Blood being like, "I'm having a near death experience. My life is flashing before my eyes," and this just sort of ends like we're a family, and then like Dom Toretto comes around the corner. Um, but it
I think that just means that he's not finished having his flashback.
Yeah, but it just didn't like it didn't have that punctuation, is what I was saying. It was just like, oh, us just dancing around on this dance floor, and then like, oh,
Is
that's
this how
how
all
the
movies
scene.
end and all shows end like this? Kee, 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 kee.
I can't tell if he's sped up because of the delay or if that's just how fast he's moving.
Is this
Again,
how all movies end? They go kee, 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 kee.
with a prequel series though, you can only end it a certain way. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, the series is gonna end like him waking up on the table, being like, oh shit, and then going ham on it. That was just what I thought.
Also, unfortunately, there may not be a continuation of Original Sin if New Blood, the new season comes out in June. You said that's going to be him waking up. They wouldn't make much sense for them to flash back again after he starts into New Blood season two, unless he's not going to be in New Blood season two, which would be weird if he wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think there's no Dexter without Michael C. Hall. So
I just
And
don't know what
also
story they could do to continue like him waking up. Like,
trying to track down his son or be the voice, be his Harry, but literally in real life.
well, he tried that, and if you're looking at the timeline of New Blood, it's like, son, I'm a monster, kill me, and then immediately when he's found, it's like, I'm gonna train you now. Well, he tried to train him, but also I think I've talked to you guys about this when New Blood, when they actually arrested Dexter. Well, one, he was out of character when he killed the cop, but why couldn't he just say, "Yeah, Tom Clancy, like framed me for this. That's his property. That's all the ladies want." And they're like, because they just immediately come in and be like, "Dexter's the killer. These are all his bodies." Like, no, like he's had a run in with Tom Clancy. Just be like, "Hey, he's a known murderer," and you're gonna say, "Oh, you can say, oh, he threatened my life." Proven fact that he has killed people. It was out of character, so I don't know.
I will say, yes, that was out of character, but it also was not out of character because that was rule number one, don't get caught.
Yeah, but he's lied to the police before. Why did he forget to lie to the police this time?
Because he
Because
was
when you get a
desperate,
little
maybe because he
older,
had a son involved.
yeah, and you when you get older, you're not as good as you once was. I mean, a
Yeah.
countryman told me that once.
What sense does it make that this whole series is a flashback? Like he's reflecting on his life. How does this series have Harry having flashbacks in Dexter's memory? Like, what sense does that make?
Flashception.
Like I get it as a storytelling mode, but like Dexter is remembering his life, but in his life he's also remembering these all these times. Oh yeah, when Dad was alone, he had flashbacks about my mom that I didn't know about.
Yeah, yeah, because you could say, well, it's Dexter having a flashback in his flashback when Harry was around, but there are flashbacks to when like Harry's son drowned in the pool, which Dexter wasn't around for. So how would he know?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, we're debunking those myths right there. Because did they even mention that his original son died in a drowning, or is that something they expanded upon?
I honestly had no idea of Harry's family's past, besides that he took in Dexter. That's all I knew.
And
I mean, I could be
apparently he took
wrong.
it too.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I could be wrong. There could be more that was explained in original recipe, but as far as I knew, Harry took him in, and he witnessed his mom died, and then we found out he had his brother. I didn't know anything else, and that kind of, for me, it kind of hurt my feelings towards Harry when I found out all of his backstory, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so weird. And how can your wife be so cool with you taking on the children of the lady you were cheating on her with? I'm like, that seems a little cray cray, but yeah, I guess
That
it's
that was cray cray. Like I can understand him bringing these kids home and being like, "Hey, I need to watch these kids," blah blah blah, and then she finds out later, but she's already grown attached to him, but not knowing from the get go. Like, what a saint of a woman.
because I just I don't. I mean, I've never been in that situation, but I don't know how I'd feel if the roles were reversed. And I'm like, oh yeah, this dude that I cheated on you with, he's dead, and his kids need help. Can we take him in? I don't know how I exactly feel on that.
So I
I know
think
how I feel. Like, all y'all get y'all's asses out of here.
Okay, we
like
talked about so much that we loved about Original Sin. What were some of the drawbacks that you guys had for the series or Original Sin? Because there are a few that I've had too.
yeah, Christian Slater.
Well, another thing that, again, I don't know how this ties in or what the timeline is, but last season of the original series, where that doctor was like, she knew about him because Harry went to her and they came up with the code together. Where was she at during all this? Because she knew Dexter, and her and Harry came up with the code. Like she knew about Dexter. Where was she during all of this? Because didn't she
Okay.
even wasn't she even aware of like his first kill, if I'm remembering right?
Well, I'm gonna throw this out there.
And like Harry, because I remember Harry saying the code worked to her, and she knew that the code worked.
I'm gonna throw this out there. Uh, People hated that season, so this might be a way of just sort of being like hoping people ignore that question that you just asked and be like, oh yeah,
So it
it's
still happened.
yeah, well, yeah, but I'm just saying that might be the reason why they're just like, hey, forget that. But you do have a point. It's a plot hole, yeah. I don't know because unless it was like because did Harry might have went to her um like without Dexter and be like, hey, here's what's going on. Here's like the notes I wrote because like I'm an expert note taker on like what happened, and they did it that way. But he never actually met her. But yeah, even still saying that, there should have been a phone call scene at least. Like, yeah, doc, like, think that's a good idea. Okay, and just like that, that would have done it. Would that have helped answer the question of some
Yeah,
sort?
just to acknowledge her existence, since the code is a big part of who he is, and she was co-creator of the code.
See, a lot's going to have to happen in the 10 years. I'm going to say 10 years between this and Dexter Original Recipe because you still got to bring in Dokes. Him and Maria got to get married. Then uh, Angel and LaGuerta got to get married and break it up again. Because I thought, weren't they married beforehand? Before the start of original series?
I don't know. I think they just had sexual tension. I
Mm.
can't honestly remember. It's been so long since I've
But
seen the original recipe.
I want to know where Dokes is, though.
He's
Special
trying to
forces,
close
wasn't
at
he?
Baby Cap.
But like,
Wasn't he military or something?
no, I mean, like, I think another one is there's always been, at least in the first two seasons of Dexter, where Dokes is like, something wrong with you, motherfucker. Give me a season with Dokes
Liberty.
on there, but like figuring out the weird stuff that Dexter's going through without like necessarily tailing him like he does in original recipe.
You know what we should work on this summer? Like we make a mini series with Dokes starring me. We should do that so everyone can know
Yeah,
where
we can
Dokes
call it
was.
different dokes.
No, God, because it's like different strokes. I just got
What
that.
what
So,
do- what do we call it?
Different dokes.
I we all know Dexter is awkward and he was learning how to blend in, I guess, during this time in his life. But it for me personally, it was just a little awkward trying to see him be his weird sociopath self, and then like also high school chicks jumping on him or his girlfriend Sophia. She was technically a high schooler and he was well out. Same thing with Deb. Like her Geo, that dude was a lot older. So that was very weird for me.
You don't think Deb would go back and be like, "Hey, Dad, you know that boyfriend you didn't like? He was smuggling drugs and left me on an island." You don't think Harry would go after him and be like, "Hey, he's under arrest now"?
Yeah, because Harry was just too lackadaisical. He's like, I'm just glad you're safe, honey. You didn't get sold off to the cartel or anything.
But also, he's also worried about his son not killing too many people.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the finale goes, it's exactly what I expected. They wrapped things up. The captain was kind of a surprise that he did what he did. The reasoning behind it was kind of dumb.
I don't think it was spite.
Well, spite
Well,
might not be the right word, but it
Well,
was to get back at his wife, pretty much, right?
it was to get back at his wife for other information that you'll find out in the episode when you watch it.
but
Oh,
no, no. I thought the same thing. Now that you mention it, um, that is his son.
Biologically or
Yeah,
legally?
biologically. Because remember when they tested the blood on the box, they're like, "Oh yeah, the blood's not a match for both, but it is familial DNA in the blood on the box."
Did they say it was familial DNA or did they say
they were
a
just very
family member could
similar.
have the same DNA?
It's like, "Oh, this isn't a direct match, but 50% of the DNA is related to the finger."
Did they say that?
They,
So,
I thought they said something about a lot of people have type A blood, so maybe the
That's what I
killer
thought
has
too.
type A
there
blood.
wasn't really a definitive "that's not your son," and it might have been that way because remember how Dexter like sort of knew where he was going to be. Dexter could have been like, "That's not your son," to lie to him, knowing that the captain would go to his ex-wife's spoiler ex-wife's house and be like, because he was already waiting at his ex-wife's house to take down the captain. Just like how he loosened the straps originally so the captain could escape and then go find his son, and Dexter trailed him there.
I think you're stretching that a little bit. I don't think they said that it was a familial match. I think they said that it was a high possibility that someone in the family would have the same DNA.
I mean, that's just what I remember, but
How many how many how many drinks had you had when you watched that?
I don't remember.
How many drinks do you have right now? I
I
heard.
don't remember.
Don't act like we didn't hear that clunk and that red Solo cup.
I said I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think they said it was a 50% match because then that would have immediately pointed fingers at the captain or like the captain's brother or the captain's like if they said it was 50% familial DNA, they would have had all the family in there like to question.
You know.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said it sounds like it's someone that he knows. That's why there's a hesitation mark.
Ah,
And for the blood, they said that type A was a very common
Common.
blood sample. I mean, so yeah, the captain and his wife's lover could have had the same blood type as well.
oh well, maybe I'm misremembering it. I don't. Oh, I should have.
But I think we're good to wrap this up. Now that you just proved yourself wrong on camera.
Well, I'm gonna research it and rewatch that scene, so we shall see.
Rewatch it
Um,
all you want, motherfucker. You're gonna be wrong again.
all right, bros. What did you think of Michael C. Hall reprising his role, voice at least, onto Dexter Original Sin? As always, I'm Hokey Joker,
I could be Dokes.
As most of the time, I'm Green Lantern.
and until next time, guys. Tonight's the night.